My Gauri Puja can start.
Okay.
Hello, ma'am. You are going on live.
Okay. So I'm ready and I'm ready to
Okay.
share.
Good evening to one and all present here. I hope everyone is sound and safe. Water is life's matter and matrix, mother and medium. There is no life without water. To brief the essence of this quote and to be a waterpreneur, I warmly welcome you all to the unique program that makes waterpreneur to transform water-stressed cities in town to become water abundant. Conducted by IEEE Computer Society and Entrepreneurship Development Cell of JPR Institute of Technology. Feedback forms will be posted in the live chat at the end of the session. Participants are requested to fill those forms. Question and answer session will be held at the end. So I request the participants to post your questions in the chat box. For any queries, contact our organizing team. I heartily thank our beloved director, Dr. N. Murray Wilson, for encouraging us, and I also thank our beloved principal, Dr. L. M. Merling Livingston, for supporting us. I warmly welcome Dr. Bhakti Devi, founder of Urban Water Doctor, Bengaluru, on behalf of JPR Institute of Technology. Dr. Bhakti Devi is trained as civil and environmental engineer along with PhD in urban water. She spent 25 years of her active working career in the water and sustainability industry in Australia. She recently relocated to India with a vision to create a water secure and sustainable urban India. She has founded Urban Water Doctor, whose mission is to empower and enable water users in creating their water system so they reduce their dependence on water tankers by 50% to 100%. Welcome, ma'am. Now I request Dr. Bhakti Devi to take over the session. Please, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity and thank you for this introduction. Well, very well organized, team you have. So I'm very pleased that so many students are have plugging in to learn about this very unique and exciting opportunity that they can all have, which Urban Water Doctor, my organization, is creating for them because it is a very urgent need of the day, and secondly it gives everyone positive hope and a tangible solution to solve the crisis at our own level without having to look upon some other agencies or some other people to solve. The good news is we can all solve the problem individually by ourselves. So that is the whole premise of this Waterpreneur program. So I would like to now share the screen and start my presentation. And then, of course, you are welcome to ask your questions in the chat box because I understand Gauri is going to be making sure that all your questions are shared at the end of the presentation, and I will have the opportunity to answer your questions. Okay, so with that, brief thing, let me start. So here it is. So I hope you can see the presentation.
Yes,
Is it
ma'am, we
all
can
good?
see it.
Yeah,
Yes,
great.
ma'am, we can see it.
So my aim is to help you understand what this training program is that is creating waterpreneurs across India. And we are conducting this training program is online. So and at the same time very hands-on and practical. So before I do that, I have structured my presentation to first, it is very important as entrepreneurs, whenever we are entering the field of entrepreneurship, we are trying to solve a problem, okay, at a big scale. So it's very important to first spend some time understanding the problem so that we then understand how the solution is designed, why is it designed the way it is designed. And so that is because ultimately, if we can make sure that we have understood the problem from the perspective of the water users, then what the solution that we develop will be so good that it will sell itself, that people will want to take it because we have really understood the problem from the point of view of the water users for whom we are solving the problem. So that is first thing I want to cover. Then the way I want to cover that is how we understand the problem is we want to look at what is the current context at the national level and city level, what is going on at the water system level, and really reflect on what are therefore the causes that have contributed to the crisis. So because anytime when we are trying to solve a problem, it is important to really go beneath the symptoms and really understand what caused the problem, because it is usually the way of thinking that has caused it. And you want to pinpoint that so that we don't carry the same way of thinking in trying to bring the solution. So when we are bringing out the solution, we have to have a very different mindset. And we won't know what is that different mindset unless you understand what is the mindset that created the problem. So with that reason, it's very important to do that. Once you understood that, then you are ready to really understand what therefore is the way forward, what are the solutions. We make sure we are not repeating the mistakes from the past, taking the lessons and moving ahead with confidence. And that is what Urban Water Doctor we have done. We have really tried to understand the problem. We've spoken to many water users in the city, and then developed the solution, and again gone back to the water user to test the solution so that we refine it until it is creating in a way that it actually has a proper fit to this problem. And that is how we have managed to create a water conservation service as a business. Now that water conservation service, I would like to then at the end, before I conclude, I want to take you through a building or a customer whom we provided the service so that you get an understanding of what is it that a waterpreneur can do. What does it mean to be a waterpreneur? What is it that they'll be doing? So that is how we will go ahead with the presentation. So now let's take a look, in order to understand the context of water at a national level and city level. Let's look at some key water facts and figures. So the first one is, did you know that more than 50% of India, if you map the situation of water stress, what do you mean by water stress? Water stress is very similar to money stress. When does money stress come? When you have more needs but less money. So it's a difference between the need and what you have is what causes the shortage and causes the stress. So in the same way, the water availability versus the water demand in the region, the gap is increasing so much that the stress is becoming high to extremely high. And more than 50% are facing that, and this number is only growing by the day. So that is something important to remember. Why is it growing by the day? Because water doesn't grow, but we have been depleting the water. And secondly, population keeps growing. Population doesn't stop growing, and the water doesn't start growing. So because of that, there is one water that is getting depleted, population that's increasing, and that gap keeps widening and the stress goes on increasing. Then let's look at a city level. So at a city level, when you zoom in, like we looked at the national level, you saw all the red marks in the map. Now when you zoom into individual cities, this is a chart that is showing how the water supply and demand is in each city, and it is showing cities of different sizes. Big cities, Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, Bangalore, Kolkata, all these are big cities, and look at small cities, some small cities. But when you look at this chart, there is something striking about this chart. Are you able to write on the chat, what is it that you find very striking about this chart? Study the chart and tell me what do you find very striking, given that yellow bar is the demand and the supply, blue bar is the supply in each city. So Gauri, you please let me know if people have put any responses. If you can read them out, then I will, kind of provide my comments and move forward.
Yeah, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Sure.
I think people are now only joining and they are adjusting to the live chat. I think we can continue, and at the end we can do it.
Sure, no problem. That's okay. So basically what you observe in this chart is that every single city shown on the chart has a water demand is more than what water is available or supply. So that is a story of every single city. So why does it happen? Let's understand it further. Like, why is it that this shortfall is happening in every city? Now, what happens when the city grows? What happens when city grows is, you have to build more buildings to accommodate the new population, to accommodate, because people are coming to the city for jobs, for new jobs. So they're going to need houses, and their children are going to study. So, going to need more schools. So all that creates what we call as urbanization. Urbanization basically means that you need to build more hard stuff, more hard roads, more hard, train stations and schools and hospitals and buildings. So all that is going to start covering up your green areas in the city. And this is a story of Bangalore. If you look at this graph is showing Bangalore when it was 1973. This is how green it was. Over time, as it became more and more urbanized, it needed to build more and more hard surfaces. Today, the situation is like this. You can hardly see any green cover on it. And that is a big problem. Why is it a big problem? Because trees and the green vegetation that is in the city, that plays an extremely important part in making sure that the rain water that falls on the city, it holds the water in its roots and transfers it in the underground as an aquifer or water bank. And now today what we are finding, all the wells are drying up. Why? Because people are simply extracting, and there is no way for water to enter the ground at all. Whatever chance it had through the green vegetation, that is being covered over with concrete. So we are basically, what I like to say is that we are committing a water harakiri. Harakiri means we are committing a we are killing our own water with our own hands. There's nothing else needed. We are doing it ourselves to us, completely ignorant that when you cut trees, it's going to damage your water table. That there's no idea, like people are not thinking. And this is what has happened to Bangalore. Let me tell you, this is a story of every city. Every city is going to become Bangalore sooner or later. But what we can do today is learn what happened in Bangalore and make sure you are not in your city making Bangalore happen. And that is why the Waterpreneur program is. Waterpreneur program is going to create a lot of these army of people who will go out and see. In today's world, the business is all about marketing and sales, right? But instead of selling Coca-Cola, instead of selling junk food, instead of selling plastic, we want to make sure that we are doing a fantastic job of marketing and selling good water management practices. That is what this Waterpreneur business is about. We must do business, but we must reject businesses that create trash, that kill the environment, and that make very bad health. Instead, we should turn everything around and make what is happening until now is all these good things are like charity work, NGO work, and all these, that it has to be done just as a side thing. No, we need to completely reject jobs that are creating trash, that are creating, increasing landfills and, making our health poor. Instead, we want to make proper business of things that are going to fix the environment. That is the only business worth doing. No other business is worth doing. No other job is worth having. In any job should be about fixing the air pollution, fixing the water pollution, preserving the water. That is real job. That is not an NGO job or a charity job. That is the real job. And that is what Urban Water Doctors' mission is, to show that we want to create new types of jobs and new types of businesses. That is what the aim is. And this is another graph that is showing that what happens in the current system, the way the water gets supplied to the city. First of all, as water users, most of us do not really understand water. We only understand water that the tap you open and water will come. That is all our understanding of water. How the water arrived in the tap, we do not know. How the water is going after we washed our hands, where is it going? We do not know, and we need not know. It is the way the system has made it for us that we need not know. It is not that we want to become illiterate. It is just that the system creates water illiteracy. It creates water ignorance. It creates water unaccountability, which means you don't even need to know how much you're using. You just need to open the tap and use water and abuse water. It doesn't matter. There's no difference between someone who's using water, between another person who's abusing water. Everyone is treated the same way. Everyone is charged nothing. Everyone have to pay nothing. So of course, what is going to happen is you have no sense and we become more and more wasteful, and we start to abuse water, and we land in a situation where 100 million, more than 100 million people are living in areas of poor water quality. And let me tell you, Bangalore is part of the statistics. Why? Because you have plush and apartments, beautiful looking apartments, and when you go inside you find out actually they don't even have water. They have some well they've dug very, very deep, which gives very poor quality water, and they have to put a treatment plant, they have to order water from the tankers, and tanker water, where do they get water from? Very questionable sources, and their water may look clear, but actually it is full of really bad stuff. So this is what we mean by people are now exposed to just poor quality water. Because why? Because cities are supplied with a system that extracts water from a fresh source, then uses it, and then you dumps it. It extracts, uses, dumps, extracts, uses, dumps. And this has been happening for the last 100 plus years. 100 plus is the story going on in every city of the world, not just in India. Every city of the world is being supplied by a system that is extract, use, dump, which is predicted to die. Simply because the source from where you're extracting, it is a fixed source. But the population of the city has been continuously growing over the 100 years. And it is no longer possible to support this population with that old 100-year-old system. On top of that, only one agency has the responsibility to manage that water, and what that does is it's called monopoly. What monopoly does is that it creates no competition. When you have no competition, you become slack, you become lazy, you don't even want to think about innovation. You don't even think that this water is going to finish. What can I do? What is a new way I can service water? Nobody's thinking. But the good news is we as water users can solve the problem ourselves. And that is what this is going to be about. So now look at the used water situation. We don't like to call it wastewater. Used water, sewage situation. What is happening? City supplies water, people use it, and then when the used water goes out, they don't have the capacity to treat it. They have to dump it somehow, somewhere. And that dumping is happening in Bangalore in lakes, in the rivers, and all the good water bodies are getting polluted. And they're always catching up because population is growing and somehow they've managed to supply water, and then the sewage treatment capacity is lacking. So as you can see in this chart, the generation of sewage is 6 lakhs million liters per day, but how much untreated? More than 50% is untreated. A very small percentage is actually treated before it is dumped into the river and the lakes. So it creates more pollution. This is the current system. How water works in every city. It is depleting the fresh water. It is increasing the local water body pollution. So what is it about the current system that is creating this problem? That is what we want to reflect on. So let us think about it. And when we're thinking, we are finding out that, people are ignorant or whatever. But we need to ask, why is it? Why is it that the current water system, people have become water illiterate? Why is it that the pollution has grown and the freshwater resource is depleting? And that is what will tell us a lesson about what not to do going forward and what to do going forward. We want to learn from the past. And this slide for future, these slides I'm going to show are about that. So the first thing about the current system that we want to learn from them, what do they do? They have insulated the water users, which means they have kept water users in a protected bubble, that you don't need to know anything about water. You just use water. That's it. You don't do nothing. And what that has done, it has lulled water user into complete ignorance. People may have the bestest qualification, an MBA, a BTech, an MTech, an MBBS, but ask them about water, they're completely ignorant. They're water illiterate. And they are water unaccountable, because the current system says, don't worry how much you use, you just use. That's all. You don't need to ask. Nobody needs to know how much you use. You just use, and we will supply you water, we'll take away your water, you just use, and no accountability. What happens if money was unaccountable? If you just kept on using money without being accountable for it, what would you do? You will just become bankrupt, basically, because you have no idea how much you're spending. You have no way of keeping account of that, and therefore you will end up become bankrupt. And that is exactly that has happened, that by keeping water users unaccountable, by making water users, putting them in a bubble and making them illiterate, what that has done is we have become water bankrupt. That is the reality of today. And what the lesson from there is, never insulate the water user. Instead, start working with the water users. Let water users ourselves, let us solve the problem and not be ignorant and illiterate and unaccountable. Second problem with the current system, that every time the city grows, water demand increases. What do the cities do? They say, oh, let me build another dam. Let me find another source of water to extract water from. Let me just bring water. But forgetting the fact that the shortage of water is a fact. There are two factors that determine how much water shortage there is. One factor is the water that you're consuming currently is creating the demand for water. And the second factor is the water that is available in your supply source, right? So if there is a shortage and there's a difference between the two, you don't only focus on increasing the supply and therefore reducing the shortage. You can also look at how are you consuming water? Are you being wasteful? Can we reduce the wasteful practices and bring down the consumption? Because as soon as you bring down the demand, the shortfall also disappears and it becomes smaller. So the way to manage the shortfall or the water stress has to be prioritized as first manage your demand. So when people say build a rainwater harvesting system, and then you waste your water, what is the point of building the rainwater harvesting system? If you haven't even looked at how wasteful you are and fix that wastage, then you build a new supply scheme to supply yourself water so that you are making the most of that water. So that is the idea which most organizations do not do. They only focus on increasing the supply. And what that has done, we have studied many buildings, and what we found to our surprise and to our shock is that 40 to 50% of the water is actually not needed to be used at all. They are actually wasting that water. So what does that mean in practical terms? So for example, in Bangalore, there are many buildings who do not have any piped water supply. What they are having is they order every day 10 trucks. Some are ordering 15 trucks. Some are ordering 20 trucks. Okay. So this building which orders 10 trucks every day, water tankers every day for 10 water tankers, by looking at how they're using their water and fixing and making more sure that they are changing their fixtures, they're changing their practices, they can cut down 40 to 50%, which means they need not buy 10 tankers every day. They only need to buy 4. They can reduce it by 4 to 5 tankers every single day. So this is what we are talking about. So forget building a rainwater harvesting system. You just make some small changes in your apartment and your water use will come down by 40 to 50%. That is the first thing you should do. Not just build rainwater harvesting system. Build it, but don't make sure you're using the water efficiently. Because otherwise, that rainwater harvesting system water is hardly of any use if you're a wasteful house. So this is the second lesson we have to learn, that we do not want to act like the way the current system is operating by not focusing on the demand. The third problem with the current system is that it is so large, it is linear, and therefore unsustainable. What does unsustainable mean? Unsustainable means there is an expiry date. There is a definite expiry date of that system. I can predict today, every city, I can put a date and say on this date, this system will collapse. It will not be able to supply water at all to the population. It will go day zero. I can predict the date. It is so predictable. But because the date is little, for some it is closer, for some it is far, nobody is even paying attention to try and understand what is the date when my city will run out. And we can put a date on it. Why people don't put a date? Because everyone is dependent on that one system. So people don't even want to give you the bad news. They don't want to be the carrier of the bad news because it will create havoc. So let me tell you that this is the reality, that the current water system in every single city is large, linear, and therefore unsustainable. And what do you mean by linear? Linear means you take water from a source, extract, use it and dump it. When you draw a line between the point from where you extracted, where you're using and where you're dumping, it is a straight line. that just is an indication you are on an unsustainable system. So that, and what do we do when we run out of the city supply? We dig wells. And what are we doing? We are doing the same thing. We are extracting from the well, using and dumping, extracting, using and dumping. We never think of recharging the well. We never think of that because we don't know. We don't even know how the hell the water comes in the well. Many people do not know. Even the engineers do not know. Let me tell you that. So we have empathy for the water user. We have sympathy for the water user because we say that this water illiteracy is not your own doing. It is not something you chose. It is the way the system has created water illiteracy. And we want to fix that. So, and what happens when you keep on extracting, using and dumping? You know the story of Bangalore. The same river is being attacked by so many other cities. So what happens? Then there's a water conflict and you have a water war. A water war is not going to be, with tankers and things. What water conflict and means that people will start fighting with each other. And why do they fight? Because they don't know what to do. Because they have been illiterate. They've been made illiterate, so they can't even think what the solution is. And that is the emergency situation we are talking about that we have to address. We have to address, and the good news is we can address it. Within our own power, within our own capacity, we can address it. So now we are in a position, now you're qualified to know, so what is the way forward? Why is it now you're qualified? Because now you understood what did we do wrong? What went wrong with the current system? If that acknowledgement is what is going to prepare you to take the way forward. If you do not acknowledge that, if you do not understand that problem, it is very likely that you'll repeat all those same mistakes again. You will look for some big scheme that, like the people are talking about, linking the rivers, desalination. They are not the solution. They may sound big, therefore give you hope, but actually that is an unsustainable solution. Let me tell you, this is a fact that all these large schemes, why? There's only one test you need to do when you if you want to evaluate, when you hear a news about a new water scheme, ask the question, is it a linear scheme? Is it a linear system? Linear means it is just extract, use, dump. If that is the case, it is not sustainable. So what is the way forward? The way forward, the clues are in the mistakes we made. So we can reverse the crisis by simply correcting the mistake of the past. And there are 3 things I pointed out. So we take clue from those very same things. So the first one was that we are saying that water users were insulated in the current system. But in the new ways of doing things, we want to make sure water users become literate and become accountable just about their own water system. You don't need to know about everything in the world, just the building where you are living, where you are depending on, that building's water system, you should understand enough and completely know everything about it. You should be able to count it. You should be able to explain it, how it works. That is what we are talking about. Okay, so this is very important. Second thing we should do is that the water users should bring their focus on managing the water demand as a priority. Before you go and find a new solution, how can we recycle? How can we recover? How can we build a rainwater harvesting system? That is afterwards. First thing, look at your water consumption. Are you doing the optimal best? Where are the places where you are wasting water or where you could do with less water, and fix that first. Plug those leaks, plug those wastages. Then you move forward and build a new system. And that's where the third thing comes, where any new supply schemes, they should be by creating local, small, circular system, not large, but small, not linear, but circular. And that is the key to creating the sustainable means. Sustainable is forever. The water will be there forever, never ever running out. That is what sustainable means. Sustainable means you will never have to worry about water. That is the definition of sustainable. And the good news is, the reason Urban Water Doctor, the organization that I represent, has taken this on as a mission, that we are creating programs to do all these 3. We want to handhold water users so they become literate and accountable. We want to make sure we are helping them understand where are their leaks, where are their wastages, and help them plug those leaks by making their water consumption efficient and reducing the demand. And then if they need to become more self-sufficient, we are also helping the buildings to create these local small circular systems. And why are we able to do that? Because, as I said, the good news is technical solutions are no longer a challenge. There are many technical solutions for every single one of, for reducing demand, for creating circular systems. It is also not a financial challenge anymore, because in the last 10 years, all these technologies have become so good that they have become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, right? So it is not, the problem is not technology, problem is not money. What is the problem then? Problem is people have to make it work. And who are these people? Us. You and I have to do it. That is a challenge. Why it is a challenge? Because so far, all of us were ignorant, illiterate, unaccountable water users. Now we are saying, come on, guys, wake up and start making these systems. That is going to be difficult. We don't want to underestimate that it is not going to be a small job. It's going to be a small job. But Urban Water Doctor, that is our mission. Our mission is we want to make sure we are taking the water users, hand-holding them, and what we call a social engineering. We are creating a mechanism by which people are getting literate, people are becoming accountable, people are reducing the demand, and then they're ready to create small systems. So we have created a whole engine which will take you through one by one, step by step, and ultimately the goal is to make you water self-sufficient, make you reduce your dependency on these really bad jugaad short-term solutions like tanker water, jugaad solution. Short-term, don't want it. You want to get rid of it. The piped water supply, jugaad, it's a large linear unsustainable system. Get rid of it. Third, what is it? All the bore wells, atrociously gone deeper to 2000 feet, where you get oil, you start getting oil and you're getting very poor quality water. Don't want it because it's an unsustainable system. So our aim is to take your dependency off these systems, right? All the water users in the city, we are talking about city water users are the most illiterate ones, and we have to make sure that we are helping them with empathy, with sympathy. We're not going to say, hey, you don't know anything. Of course, none of the water users know anything. And the best qualified also don't know. So you don't have to be shy about it. It's just the system has made us all equally water illiterate. Okay. So given that, so as I said, now we have created a service, a mechanism by which people can be taken step by step. So now what I'm going to do is for you to understand what is she talking about? What is this business, right? So I want to take you through one client of ours, because business means there's a client. So there's a client who paid us money, and I'm talking about it very, very proudly and boldly, because all along what we think is, oh, we should not be charging for it. It should be a charity. No, it's a service. Why? Because it's going to help their building water, perpetually water self-sufficient. So yes, people should pay for it. Because instead of paying tanker water, where they don't ask the question, they don't ask for tanker water to make charity business. But when it comes to someone helping them making a new system, some people have the mindset, oh, it should be charity, it should be NGO. No, it's a business. Business means, why is it business? If you're giving a service that people value it enough, then they will pay for it. And we want to make sure we have created a service that is so valuable to people that they willingly pay for it. Right? That is, we want to make sure we do that. And that is why we get paid for it. So I want to take you through a report we did to a client, which is basically a community living in an apartment building, who approached us to say that we need help because we used to get, we get Kaveri water or the piped water supply 2 days a week. And this has been happening last 5 years, and because our water came down to 2 days a week, it was not sufficient. We created 2 wells, and out of that, 1 well already dried up. Now the second well is also yielding less, and we are worried. What should we do? Okay, this is how the water stress manifests itself in reality. That people start to feel, oh, I'm reducing water, I don't have water anymore. What do I do? So this report will tell you, how does that business look like from a client's perspective? Because it's very important you understand what is this business. So this building, as I said, it's a 4-storied apartment building in South Bangalore, 12 flats. They had already got Kaveri water 2 days a week, 2 bore wells, one of them dried up, one of them gradually yield is low. So we did what we do is that we go into a building, collect so many types of data that we collect from the building in the form of their water infrastructure data, their indoor water use consumption data, their outdoor water use data. The community, we also conduct a water survey, practice survey, to understand what kind of equipment they have, what kind of practices they have. So all that data we collect and we analyze, and we start sharing with them some insights to help them understand. As I said, our aim is to make them water literate about their own water system. Okay, so we want to first make them water literate, and then what we do is, see, whenever you are fixing a problem, let's say you are on a health and fitness program. You don't embark on a random diet and random exercise program. If you do that, then you're not going to go anywhere. What do you normally do if you're a proper, seriously interested in improving your health and fitness? You first find out where exactly, how you are with respect to your, how unhealthy or healthy, how fit or unfit you are, using certain indicators. So you will do like, your weight, your BMI and your blood test. And so different tests are done to know, okay, you are lacking here, you're doing okay here, but there is a gap here, this is your best. Your ideally you should be this, you are below the ideal, you're above the ideal, whatever it is, you are very clear where exactly is the problem. So you look at your current status, and also you look at what you should be or what you want to get to. So you set a target and you have a current status. And based on the target and based on the current status is when you start to create your diet and exercise program to achieve that gap. Okay, so why shouldn't you do the same thing with water? So when you are in a building, in your own building, the question you should ask is, how unsustainable I am? And where exactly is my problem in my building? Can I find out? Because only when you find out that, you are not guessing your solution. Because in Urban Water Doctor, we do not believe in guesswork. We do not believe in preaching. We don't preach that you should do rainwater harvesting. No. We give you the information about your building and how your building is working. We will give you a status, current status. Like, that's why we call ourselves Urban Water Doctor. We are giving you a diagnostic of your building to tell you where is it sick and where it is healthy. So once you understand where it is sick, then any action that you need to put in your building to become better, become healthy or water fit, you will know the solution. Your purpose of the solution will be to address that gap that you have now understood where the gap is in your building. Without understanding what exactly is the problem, do not spend even a rupee on any solution to become efficient or self-sufficient. So what we do is, after giving them insight about their building, we give them what we call as water conservation scorecard. That tells them exactly how the problem is, where the problem is, and how much big the problem is, right? And where they may be good at. We can find out that also with our data collection and analysis. We are able to find that out and share with them. And then we give them the solution plan to make sure they're moving to the better target. So this is what I want to show you. So to tell up, we were able to show to them that so normally any building, when you have more than one source, they have no clue about what percentage is coming from which source. So because they're just putting the pump on, they're using the water, they have no clue. As I said, unaccountable. So we are helping them become accountable by saying, look, your building it takes more than 50% of its water from the borewell. Okay, so which means if your borewell dries up, you are in trouble. Okay, then the second thing we do is we also show them exactly where within your house your water is being used. So what we found in this case is, look at this: dishwashing 37% and hand washing, bath basin 14%. Together it's like almost 51% of their entire water use goes in this just two uses, hand washing and dishwashing. So what it is telling, when we find out that they're not using water efficiently, we can come back to this and say, let us put a solution on the tap. There's an attachment on the tap you can put, which will bring down the water consumption by 80%. So if 50% of the water, we bring it down by 80%, we have made a saving of 40%. 80 times 50 is 40%. So Simple solution, giving them 40% reduction. So this is possible only when you understand exactly what is happening, where the water is going. It's like your bank account. If you only knew some income is coming, someone is putting money, you're getting some money, and you have no account of where your money is going, or you're not tracking it, you can of course waste money and you will not know. But that's exactly what we want to do. We want to give account of your water in your property to you, so that you can that accounting is about managing. Without accounting, without the feedback, you do not know where you need to cut down, etc. So we share with them summary. So it's like almost like a money statement. Imagine, like, your bank gives you a statement that this was the income, this was the savings. So like that we do. We give them that. And we tell them where indoor, outdoor, where how much is being used indoor, how much is being used outdoor. And we also give them a water balance of the rainwater. What is happening to your rainwater? Because every single water in the building is a resource. Whether it's rainwater, whether it is rainwater that is falling, that is draining off your compound area, rainwater that is draining off your roof, it is water. You can recover the water, clean water out of it, and it is your resource. Instead of buying water from outside, the whole idea is how can I prevent any discharge leaving my site, any water leaving my site, store it, retain it, to recover it, to recycle it, and make water on my own site. That is the whole idea. So what we found in this particular building is almost 94% of the rainwater is just being thrown out. Nothing is being captured. Nothing is being captured, nothing is going under the ground, no recharge happening. So we help them sensitize, become aware of this. This is accountability. So then we come to scorecard. So we say, we will give you the scorecard in the form of 4 quantifiable indicators, which will give you like traffic. We use traffic lights, for example, here. So these are the 4 indicators, and the 5th indicator is the water security risk. So the first indicator is telling you, in this case, unfortunately, that building had all red. Sometimes if they're good, they may get a yellow, and if they're very good, they'll get a green. Okay, so water efficiency is one indicator. So it is telling them how not how wasteful they are or conserving they are. So if it is more than, so we have a scale for every one of them. So the scale looks like this. I'll show you. 1 minute, let me just take you. So for each indicator, so for example, water efficiency score, there is a scale at the bottom which tells you if they scored 300. So where does this 300 fit? Is it a green band or a yellow zone or a red zone? It is red zone, because they got 300, which is more than 200, they get a red. So like that, we've got scale for every one of them. And in this case, their groundwater neutrality score is telling them how unsustainable or sustainable is their use of borewell water. And in this case, because they're only extracting, no recharge happening. So of course, their score was 0.3%, which is again a red zone. So they get a red. So red is bad, green is good. Okay, water self-sufficiency score is telling them what is if that site has a potential to make 100 liters of water on site, so that they can use it for non-potable uses. It could be using rainwater or grey water or sewage or whatever, but on site they're generating water for use. If it's 100 liters capacity, that it can actually create water up to 100 liters. And if they are only making 2 liters of water on site, or they're making none of it on site, then they get less than 20% score. The more water they are actually generating on site and using, then they get a better score. So that way they get to know, oh, I need to become self-sufficient. So this scorecard is helping them understand where they should aim for. At the moment, there's no target, there's no goal, nothing. It's all preaching. Put a rainwater harvesting scheme. Hey, what about grey water reuse? Can we do it? Why? Understand, where is your gap? Your building is different from another building. You can't copy paste solutions. You have to get a scorecard for your own building, understand where the gap is, and address that gap as a solution for retrofitting. So this is a discharge score. Discharge score is telling how much you're throwing out. They were throwing out 99% of the water they're generating. So we want to explain to people, sensitize people to know that when you throw out water out of your site, that means you're throwing out money. So don't throw water, conserve it, preserve it, and make water out of it. Make water for your own use out of it. And that way you reduce the discharge, and that is what is good for you. So that is, those are the scores so these are the scores summary, and then we give them the solution. So the solution becomes for every, so improving the efficiency score to go from red to yellow is your action plan. What solution can help you make neutrality score better? That is your, so as I said, the solution itself is very simple because all these are available in the market. But the challenge is how to make sure that these solutions are being taken up, being implemented at a large scale. Everyone should be doing it. But of course, as a business, when you start it, we'll first initially get some early adopters to do it. And as early adopters to do, most population are like to follow. Very few like to lead, which is okay. We create this with the help of the leaders. We create examples of how the scorecard has to be done to inform the actions and take actions, and that way the followers are also then able to follow the leaders. So that is, then we give them solutions. So as I said, I don't want to spend too much time on the solutions. They're all technology available, nothing big deal, no rocket science there. But the main thing is to say, we say that if you put all the solutions that we have identified, then your new score will look like this. So you would have gone to green, you would have gone to yellow on some, green on some. So that is basically it. And so therefore, what we have created, we want to make sure whatever we are doing in Bangalore. So Bangalore, it took us 18 months to do research, intense research of buildings, talking to water users to develop the solution and the tools for developing the solution. So when you're offering the service, we have a lot of tools we use to help. So, but in terms of the training program, we have made Waterpreneur training program. We have divided into 3 levels: basic, intermediate, and advanced. So what does the basic training do? Basic training allows you to learn about the problem, learn about the solution, and help people. So it is like creating a sales team. Okay, so your job, but you're an entrepreneur, you're not having a job. See, entrepreneur is a freelancer, and you have the flexibility of working on your own drive and creating the opportunity, taking the opportunity with our support. Urban Water Doctor will support you, and in that way, you go out and make people literate, water literate, and water accountable. We'll give you the tools to go and make them water literate and water accountable. And what that does is it creates awareness in people. Then they say, okay, now I want to, do a scorecard for my building, right? And then you will get them to us, and we will help you with the people who have done intermediate and advanced. They will, help them in taking that action of actually doing a scorecard. And then we go to the advanced person to say, okay, now how do I implement it? So this is the way we have structured the training program, and we are actually starting the basic Waterpreneur program from July. I will be able to share the dates when people write to me, and I'm also inviting the organizers of this webinar to get in touch so we can organize it through your institute, these training program, because if they can come in batches, then they can, because there are some fixed dates on which we are doing. So what it does is it creates an opportunity for you to get sign-ups from people for doing certain analysis and accountability, become accountable for their water use. And that is what, then they get paid for that, because they are bringing some customers who are becoming accountable, and they get paid for the customers they bring. So this is the way. And this intermediate have a different service they sign up to the customers for, and they get a different type of training because it's a bit more deeper training. Advanced is about implementing solutions. So that way we have divided it. But the good thing is the training, we are making it affordable by making sure people are able to attend in large groups, so that you are able to afford the price of the training and therefore get started. So once you're trained, you are now ready to go and talk to people, because we would have given you the tools and things to go and talk and to help them with what they need. And that way you are able to be an independent entrepreneur, waterpreneur, with the help of Urban Water Doctor. So you're a franchisee waterpreneur. So basically I'll stop there. and I'll open it for any Q&A.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. It was. Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear, and I just want people to take this contact details so that they can also contact directly. And I'll leave the screen for a little while, and then I stopped the share. Sorry, let me just go back. So I share the screen just to share the contact details if people want to contact independently of the program, and you can also connect on LinkedIn and on the website. Okay. So
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
now please, I'm open to Q&A.
Thank you, ma'am. It was very wonderful and informative session. There are many questions posted in the chat box. I will pick some of them.
Sure.
And what is the difference between waterpreneur and entrepreneur by Bhaskar?
Nice. Very good question. See, basically, waterpreneur is an entrepreneur who is helping to solve the urban water crisis. So, all entrepreneurs are solving problems of one type or the other. But waterpreneur is focused on solving, I mean, this is what we need entrepreneurs right now to solve real problems, not the problem of, how can I copy Airbnb software and make an Indian version? How can I make another Flipkart? Right? They are not real problems. But real problem is how do I make urban residents, water users self-sufficient, water abundant? So if you're solving that problem, then you're a waterpreneur. Yeah, any other question? Hello? Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we are able to hear you.
Okay, nice. Okay, so I'm just waiting for the next question. So Gauri is on to it, right?
There was a question from another person. Is there any opportunities? Is there any
Yeah, I can
opportunities
see that. Actually, I can see the live comments. Can I look at them and go through them? Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So yeah, because I just discovered that I can see what is a waterpreneur, that I answered. Now, next question was that what kind of training is given to waterpreneur by? So yeah, so as I said, there are 3 levels of training: basic, intermediate, and advanced. Each training prepares them for a very specific entrepreneurial activity. And we train them on, how to the water literacy, which acts like a sensitization of the water users to get to the service of water conservation, accountability, and that also prepares them to help people become accountable so that they become aware of that they can develop their scorecard and actually do a water conservation implementation. And then the advanced is about helping water users to start really making an action plan for the water conservation and implementing them. So that are the 3 levels, that these are the services that they will be trained for. So the other question is opportunities to become a waterpreneur. It is right now, wherever the buildings are facing water stress, that's an opportunity. So that is an opportunity to go and help them out, and that is through this service. Then very nice. Thank you all for really appreciating. Okay, feedback link. Is there any way to do same question?
And there was another question.
Yes.
Ma'am,
I
I think
the use of water in our own household works.
Sorry, say that again. I couldn't hear you clearly. Tell me again.
How to calculate the water usage in our home?
Very good question. So for that, I have created a small video and a form. We have created that for people to use. But even better would be that you actually join that basic waterpreneur program where you actually get to learn about yourself. I mean, learning the water assessment yourself for your house, and also you get to know how to help others to assess. So you get to do both things. So join that program. That way you'll get full clarity, and all the tools also will be given to you. That use these tools and go out and help others to also to count the water, how much they're using. Not only how much you're using. That training will teach you how to measure water, how much consumption is happening, exactly where how much percentage is being used, and what is the say action plan you can put in place within your own household, and how much saving you can get, what is the potential to save water in your own household. So all these 3-4 questions will be answered by giving you a tour of a tool that we have developed, and we will share that with you. And once you learned it yourself, the best part is now you'll be equipped to go and teach others and help others to count the water. And we want more and more of these people to do that. Okay. So please contact me, and we'll give you the schedule for the basic waterpreneur program. Any other
Thank you,
question?
ma'am. And how to make a water user to be aware of the water he uses, he or she
Okay.
uses by
I
present.
think, yeah, as I said, it is exactly like money. If you want to know how you're using your money, you have to keep account. There's no other way around. And that's exactly we are teaching. But water is not like money. It's not something that is so easy to count like money. And therefore, we have created tools which will train you on. And that way, you are able to use that tool for your own house, and then go and teach others. So, same question. One person asked how I can use. How do you? Same. So, whenever you want to know how much am I using, water accountability is your question, and we have created that for you.
And it is the other question: how
Mhm.
I can know that whether I am using a water efficiently, by Krishna.
Yeah, exactly. So the same, the data that we are asking you to collect for understanding how much water you're using, that is also helping you know that you are, how efficient you are. And right now, the reason I'm not able to say, just go and find out this, and it is not like that. It is not like, just look at your watch and that is the time. No, it is a little bit of it is not also rocket science, but it is a little bit of an elaborate activity. Little time you spend, say half an hour, you may need to spend on it, and you do it. That's why we have to put it like a training. So you actually learn how to do it. We give you the tools for it. So once you have the tools, now you know it for life, right? So you use the tool that we have created. Then you go. It's not like a straightforward answer. But then once you get the analyze that data that you collect, it is giving you so much information. It tells you how much you're using, how efficient are you and how inefficient are you. That means where do you need to make the change to become efficient. Everything will be given to you for the family level, household level.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And what is the best water system to implement in our household if we want to
Okay.
change a system? What is the best?
Okay. So again, what we tell others also is that if I say, just I give you a random answer, this we should never do that. We should never do, like, what we call as guesswork. Because of course I can give you a range of solutions that exist, like tap aerators. If you fix tap, put a tap aerator as an attachment, you fix on the tap, it will reduce the flow rate of your tap by 80%. Okay. Then another solution is put metering and charging people for water they use. That also reduces consumption. Third, there is something called artificial injection well recharge of groundwater, which allows you to recharge your bore wells that are dry with rainwater. Okay, there is also, of course, rainwater harvesting is one. Percolation pits, recharge pits. Now, these are just solution. They're just technology, but is it applicable to your building? Is it applicable or not? For that, you should be very scientific about it. You should not be random about it because they cost money. And before you invest money, you better ask the right question, that where exactly is my gap? Only when I know that, I want to go out there and invest in this very high sounding technology solution, because I want to know, is it applicable to me? For example, it may happen that your tap may already be efficient. So why do you need to buy a tap attachment? You don't need to buy a tap attachment because you are already a water efficient tap. But unless you find out exactly where your situation is through that assessment I'm talking about, it is a guesswork, and guesswork can be dangerous. Guesswork will waste money. It will just, you're doing copy paste, which is not helpful. Okay, so therefore we never give random solutions. We say learn. You find out your own solution because you just need to know where your problem is. So, for example, I say if someone has a serious kidney problem, you don't go to the chemist and say, "Can you just give me some tablets, something that will work for kidneys?" No, especially serious illness, you need to know exactly where the problem is in your body. The diagnostic of the doctor will tell you. And then even the doctor has to first say, go and do a diagnostic. I want to see the report and then I'll tell you what medicine you need. That is same thing with water. Do not go by preaching. Do not accept preaching solutions. Do not accept guesswork solutions. Accept solutions which are evidence based, which tell you exactly what is wrong with your building, and then only you should accept the solutions.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really a good example for that. And here is the question: what are
Yes.
all the area you provide such internships?
Areas mean which cities?
Yeah, exactly.
The good news is because these training are based on using very nicely created tools, we can guide you from anywhere. In fact, right now we have a training batch that we have people from Kerala, from Jharkhand, from Delhi, from Nagpur. They're all doing the training. Why? Because they're working on their building, but we are guiding them. We are giving them the tool. Go and take this tool and collect this data. Then they take step number 1, collect this data. Step number 2, now analyze this data. Use this tool to analyze the data. So we have created tools that make it easy for you to learn from wherever you are. Your own building, you are going to learn. So towards the end of the training, you get to learn how efficient is your house, what is the water saving opportunity. So you created a small report for yourself. And now that the opportunity is there to charge a small fees and offer that to others, right? And why not? Because you're doing an important exercise, and that is the best way to helping community with a real water resource related opportunity, or water resource related thing is a very important service. And we have created structure that you can charge a small fee and take that as part of your income. So that is what we want you to do.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. It was really a wonderful session. The feedback links will be posted in the live chat for this moment, and the
Yes.
participants are requested to fill those forms, and the certificates will be sent to your mail within a couple of days. For more updates of webinars, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media. And thank you, ma'am. It was really a wonderful session, and
Thank you.
thank you for joining with us. If
Great.
if we have many questions, we will post to you and we will mail to
Please.
you, and you can answer it through the mail
Absolutely.
also.
And please do share the recording. If you're a recorded version anywhere on the social media, please let me know so I can share it with other in my network.
Ma'am, and participants are asking whether we can have that PPT for the reference. You can.
Sure. I will forward. I will forward you, and also I will in that PPT I will include the dates of the the training batches for waterpreneurs and the registration form for the training batches. Okay, so that
Okay,
you
ma'am.
have all the information in one PPT. Everything will be available. No problem.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank you for the wonderful session, ma'am.
Thank you, Praveen, for a good job of organizing this and helping so many students to learn about this. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you,
All the
ma'am.
best. Bye. All the best to all of you. Bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.